Welcome to this special edition of Gentle Somatic Yoga for Healing Trauma. And I am so blessed to have one of my dearest friends participate in my yoga class because I'm here at her home. She is one of the reasons why I'm not still in the middle of this hugely traumatic event of Hurricane Ian. So we're going to move our bodies. We're going to do a mudra practice. We'll do a couple of practice from the polyvagal philosophy of how to get your nervous system re-regulated. And hopefully all of these practices will go a long way toward helping you, whether you were in the hurricane's path or you have loved ones in the hurricane's path, or you just read all the news and it was affecting you. So any one of these things can cause you to feel trauma. And don't diminish what you're feeling. That's, a hugely important part. So go ahead and get started in any comfortable seated position. Just, you don't have to be cross-legged. And then when you're ready, if you feel safe to do so, close your eyes. If you don't feel safe to close your eyes, just soft gaze. And let's just check in with ourselves for a minute. Just notice any areas of your body that might be feeling the effects of this traumatic event. Just notice your shoulders and neck. Notice any other areas of your back. And then if you can, start to notice your chest area, both for your breathing and your heart. Just notice anything. See if your heart is maybe racing. One of the symptoms that happen when we feel trauma is we get into kind of a chronic fight and flight, and our heart is racing a little faster than normal. I'm not asking you to change it at this moment. I'm just asking you to notice it. And then see if you can start tracing your breath. Again, not necessarily changing it, although the minute we notice something, sometimes it does change. So see if you can notice the breath where it enters. In general, if you're not stuffed up, it is better to allow it to enter through your nose. But if you're stuffed up, you might have to open your mouth. And then just see where it lands. Where is it going? Is it going deep through the lower part of your lungs? Or is it up here? Again, not to judge, just to notice. Now let's try to change our breath just a little bit. Using a heart math breath practice. Some people like to place their hand on their heart when they're doing this, but once again, it's your choice. And then see if you can direct the breath into this chest area. So sometimes in yoga breathing, we direct the breath all the way down deep into our belly. But when we're doing a heart math practice, we direct it to the chest to activate the neurons inside the heart. There are 40,000 of them. Now slow the pace down if you can. For some people, the optimal pace is 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out. But that may not work for you, just as long as you're doing it slower than your normal pace. Don't pause at either the beginning or the end of the breath. Keep it smooth. And one of the techniques that is very effective for post-trauma is called the heart soak technique. So just take whatever is troubling you from this event or from any other event in your life. Just imagine that your heart is sort of wrapping around it like a blanket. You're just soaking up the beauty of the heart. You're not solving anything. You're just giving it a hug with your heart, slowly and surely, breathing in and out. Allow your heart to soak whatever is troubling you. Notice any settling in your body or any other changes. And if it's difficult right now to do this tool, don't judge yourself. You may not be ready, so it's all okay. All right, so let's begin some movement now. Again, you might want to change the cross of your legs. You might want to do this, whatever feels comfortable. We're just doing our upper bodies for a moment. So lift your arms up to the sky on an inhale, interlace the hands, lift it up even higher, and then draw it down with palms together. Press the palms against each other, creating a little bit of isometric action. Release. Interlace the fingers, draw the hands in front of you, scoop out your front body. Feel the back body lengthen. Lift the arms back up in the air with the palms facing the sky, and let your hands drop down by your side. Now leave, if you're mirroring me, whatever hand, this is my left hand, it may be your right hand if you're at home. So leave that hand on the ground and lift the other hand up. We're going to draw rainbows in the sky. So in other words, instead of just going up and down this way, now go a different way. Find these different paths of movement. And now maybe a different way. Go low. And if you notice any areas of your body, like when I'm doing this one, if it doesn't feel comfortable, pause there for a second. Engage the muscles. So you're contracting the muscles first and then releasing it. And that's called a pandiculation. And that sometimes helps people let go of tension. Just whatever free, nourishing movement feels good. And again, visualize you've got these paint brushes, all the colors, you're painting a canvas. All right, let's go ahead and try the other side. Place your, for us, the right hand. It might be a different hand for you. Go above and just notice if anything feels different on this side. I have a real kink in the left side of my neck. And so this one is a lot more restricted in my range of motion. Don't force yourself, work within your range. And if you find a spot that needs a pandiculation, pause, contract the muscle first, and then purposely release the muscle. The reason we're doing that is we're creating new neural connections between the brain and the muscle. Because when you've had an injury somewhere, your brain all of a sudden doesn't want to move that area. It's like, scary, scary, scary. I don't want to move it. So you have to create new safe movement patterns. All right, let's come back to stillness in the middle and check in. Just eyes can be closed or soft gaze. Just notice if anything feels different in your body, just with that little movement pattern. What are you noticing? How's your breath right now? How's your mental state right now? Just by moving a little bit, we're starting to release some of the stuck trauma, which gets stuck inside of our body. So gently make your way to hands and knees. Some people like to have a cushion, an extra cushion under their knees. You're always welcome to do that. I'll demonstrate sideways first, and then I will face you. So on your knees, go ahead and set yourself up with what feels comfortable. So you might have to shift your hands back or forward, shift your knees. Find that spot that feels right. And we'll do some traditional cat-cows first, but then I'm going to do a different take on cat-cow. So go ahead and do whatever cat-cow you normally do. Inhaling as maybe your belly drops and your head comes up. Exhaling as the belly pulls in, the head drops down. Noticing what you're feeling. And we're releasing some stuff for you, Christine. Yeah. Some stuff is being moved out. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. So let's try a different way. This next way I'm going to show you is called nerve flossing. So the next time you inhale and your belly drops, instead of lifting your chin, drop the chin. This should feel a little different. The next time you exhale and your belly lifts, lift the chin. The reason this is called nerve flossing is we are shortening one length of the nerve and then lengthening the other instead of lengthening both ends. So drop the chin, the belly's down. Come through neutral, lift the chin as the belly comes up. Back through neutral. One more time. Drop the belly on the inhale, chin goes down. Through neutral, lift the belly, lift the chin. Now for a moment, come down to your forearms and just press back and forth a few times, warming up into a child's pose, not going directly into the child's pose, shifting back and shifting forward. In gentle somatic yoga, we don't just go immediately into a pose. We see what our range of motion is first, and then we work it slowly, trying to get some release of chronically tense muscles. Now, maybe your body is ready to shift into a child's pose. I know for me, when I do child's pose, I need to have something under the tops of my ankles because it's hard for me to lay on my ankles. Some people need a bolster or blanket between their thighs and their knees, and some people need to elevate the floor, either with their fists or a block. So let's see if we can settle into this for a moment and just notice, once again, what are you noticing? Just breathe. Just allow. Find a breath pattern that feels calming to you. Some people find the Ujjayi breath to be calming because it's an ocean sound. But if that breath is not your preferred breath, go into your preferred breath that feels calming. All right, let's gently make our way all the way to the bellies. When you're on your belly, again, if you're uncomfortable just lying straight on whatever surface you have, a lengthened blanket sometimes can be nice under the belly. So this is a different version of the cobra pose that we do in gentle somatic yoga, slightly different. So I am on my belly and my hands are stacked on top of each other. It doesn't matter which hand is stacked, although at some point you might want to change hands. And then I'm laying my head down, and then see if you can flatten the tops of your feet for a second and just notice that. So I want you to, before you lift up, tuck the toes under and engage the muscles of the legs. So now my knees are off the ground, my legs are engaged. And then I want you just to lift up your upper body, When you do it this way, what you're doing is you're getting the entire length of your spine involved. Now release the feet, have the feet back flat, and then lower down and put one cheek on your hands. And then we'll engage the legs again, tucking the toes. So feel those muscles engaged. Your knees are off the ground. Lift the head up to the middle. Disengage the legs by releasing the feet and lowering the upper body and putting the other cheek down. Let's just do one more round. Engage the legs by tucking the toes, feeling the whole length of your legs engaged. Lifting your upper body, you should feel all up and down the body. Release the feet. Release the head, other cheek. Last time. Tuck toes. Engage legs. Feel the muscular action back there. Lift the body. Feel the length of the body. Release toes. Flatten the feet. Allow the head to go down comfortably. Now, you might want to change how your hands are on top of each other. Go ahead and bend the knees and allow the feet and the knees to just windshield wiper side to side, just to release any residual tension you may have developed in your back body. Okay, how are you feeling? How are you feeling, Christine?
Oh, it's so awesome. You should stretch out so bad.
Oh, I'm so glad. This is a real safe way to do this and to release any tension and trauma. All right, we're going to gently make our way to standing. If you want to, you could do it through a downward facing dog. But if you're not feeling a dog today, you don't have to. So there's a lot of choice points. When you've gone through a trauma, one of the most important things is to know you have choices. And, you know, we sometimes feel like we're victims after a trauma and we feel like we've lost our choices. So please only do what feels good to you today. All right. Oh boy.
Cracks.
Yeah. Creaks and cracks. And explore every one of these movements. So don't just do it the way a teacher told you. You listen to your body. All right, so I want to come safely up from a forward fold. And this is also a gentle somatic yoga way. So if you're still in the forward fold, or if you want to join me, go ahead and grab your arms toward each other and just let it go here. And just notice how far you are from the floor. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to lift our body up to maybe a third of the way. Let your arms come up just to your nose and then release it back down again. Let it go. Lift the body up again, arms up just to the nose and let it go. Third time, lift the body up, maybe halfway this time, arms to the nose, let it go and see if you have more release in this forward fold. Now place the hands on the thighs, lengthen the spine. Feel that spine be as long as possible as you're coming up. And then come up safely. How are you feeling?
Oh, so good.
That's great. Oh, I'm so glad. All right, we'll just do a little bit of standing movement, not a huge amount today. One of the things that can happen after we've been through a trauma is our hips can feel really awful. Or if you've been sitting in a car, like in our case, we had to drive and drive and drive to get away from the danger, sitting in that car and sitting in the car. So here's something that you can do. I'm going to support my weight on my right leg, and then I'm going to cross my left leg and touch, and I'm going to draw like a half circle around my body. And be careful that you're not overextending your supporting knee. And then just try to make it smooth. A lot of times what we do, unfortunately, is we only like open our hips. So if you see what we're doing, we're closing, we're using all aspects of the hips when we're doing it. So go ahead and transfer your weight to both legs for a minute. Just to feel the weight be redistributed, and then put all the weight on your opposite leg, and we'll repeat this pattern. First, do it slow. Touch, 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 touch. Yep. And look, Christine and I are not ready for the Rockettes yet.
We gotta shut those down. For me.
We'll go back and forth. Let's see. And again, my tendency is to over tighten the other leg. So be careful that you're not turning your other leg into a pogo stick. You want to keep the muscles working, but not the knee overly tight. Very good. Let's go ahead and loosen that. You might need to do something in between just to shake things out, let things go. One of the big theories in gentle somatic yoga, which really comes from physical therapy, if you think about it, is we contract a muscle before we lengthen it. And that's something that physical therapists do all the time. And it's not something that yoga teachers do all the time. And when we just stretch, 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 it's like pulling a rubber band, right? Eventually, you're going to lose the elasticity of the rubber band. So you do not want to overstretch a muscle. And by contracting it first, you're sending signals that it's safe to release to the proper range of motion. So let's go ahead and contract this muscle. See, it's contracted. Then let's put it behind us. Now it's lengthened. So contract it first and then lengthen it. So this is the way we would get more into a warrior one rather than just putting our leg back there. Contract it, lengthen it, contract it, and lengthen it. And let's go ahead and shake it out and do the other side.
That's great.
Yes, the contraction is very hugely important, and especially for people who are sitting all the time. Don't just get up and stretch. Get up and do it this way if you've been sitting a lot. So contract that muscle first, then lengthen it back. Contract it. Well, this is also good to see how your balance is. Sometimes after an event like this, you can feel totally imbalanced. I'm very imbalanced right now, I can tell. But we're moving, right? We're moving our bodies. We're getting rid of this stuff.
I don't think I've done this way probably for my entire life. Contract first after sitting on the computer for hours.
This is something you're going to start doing.
I sure am.
All right, let's go ahead and shake that out and see how you're feeling. Whew. So one of the things I want to show you is that oftentimes, if something traumatic has happened to you and you have an injury or something like that, you're not going to be able to do the same things that you've done before. But our brains are wired in such an interesting way that you can even visualize doing something and you can create the same effect. So I'm going to just give you an example of this. We're going to first do this physically, and then the second round, we're not going to actually do it, but we're going to visualize that we're doing it. And that is something that is very effective if you've had an injury. So and if you're mirroring us, you might be taking your right hand up. So we're taking our left hand up, and then we're just opening up and looking over, keep looking all the way over, and then coming back and putting it down. We'll do that with the other arm. Take for us, the right arm, open it up, come behind us, come forward, and put it down. Now, we're not going to do it. Now I want you to visualize this. So your arm is going up. You're twisting off to probably your right, it's our left. Your arm is going behind. Your head is looking with it. Following it around. Your arm is coming back. You're bringing your arm down. Same thing on the other side. You're lifting your arm up with the palm facing the ground. You're twisting over to that side with your arm going back behind you as much as you can, and your head is following. And then you're drawing your arm back and bringing it down. So let's try it again now physically and see if we have a little more range of motion, even just mentally doing it. So arm goes up, arm goes off to the side. Now I'm going way much further than I was the first time. Arm comes back and arm down. I should have told you to notice how far you went the first time so you could have a comparison. Arm goes up, Arm goes around, but I know I am twisting so much more. And again, so you can do this. This is brain to muscle connection. Your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what, situation you're creating. So if after a trauma, you're not able to physically move something, it is still worthwhile to practice this so that when you are feeling better, you'll actually be able to physically do it. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Go ahead and widen your legs, and you might have to turn sideways on me. Yep. Widen your legs. Go into a safe forward fold. Wide-legged forward folds are probably the safest forward folds there are, safe for pretty much anybody. Shift your hips a little bit. So we're going to do, again, a gentle somatic yoga style of the windmill that you may have seen done differently. So keep your right hand on the ground, bend your left elbow, and I want you just to pump it up and bring it down. Pump it up. So you're twisting a little bit, bring it down. On the third time, if you're feeling like it, you could try to lengthen it, but you don't have to. And bring it down. And then let's do that again. Pump, lengthen, and bring down. Let's do the other side. So once again, we're easing into things, pumping it, bring it down. Because when we ask our body to go right into a pretty intense stretch without giving the brain the message that it's safe, that's what we're doing. We're preparing the brain to allow it to say, okay, this is a safe movement. So I'm not going to send out danger signals. And oftentimes after a trauma, we're perceiving everything to be dangerous. So we really have to work in a nourishing way. All right, shake everything out, move in any way that feels good. And we're going to come back to seated. And I'm going to do one of the wonderful twisting series we have in gentle somatic yoga. So we're going to sit in what's popularly known as deer pose, mermaid pose. Some people even call it cheerleader pose. So we're going to have our right leg bent back and our left leg bent forward. Okay, good. Now, if this is uncomfortable for you, you could sit up on a blanket or a pillow or a bolster or even a block. You could even stick something under this knee or thigh. So find a way that this is not feeling uncomfortable. This is very important because if your body is already uncomfortable and resisting, then your brain is already saying, I don't like this. This is dangerous. I'm not going to do it. So you want to get yourself as comfortable as you can. Okay, so we're going to twist off toward the front leg. For us, it's going to be our left leg. And if you're facing us, it might be your right leg. And with the first time, your eyes are going to be open and you're going to notice how far you can see behind you without strain. So just twist off, pick a spot. Got it? Memorize that spot. Now come back to the front. Now for the rest of the time, if you could just listen to my voice and have your eyes closed, we get more change if we can close our eyes in this, because then we are doing interoception. We're perceiving from inside. So place your hand on your shoulder. So ours is right hand on left shoulder. You might be the opposite. With eyes closed, go ahead and twist. Allow that hip to lift, the back hip. And then when you come back to the front, I want you to uncoil completely and almost sag like you have no worst posture in the world. Got it? Let's do this 2 more times. Twisting off, feel the muscles engaging, notice what muscles you're using, and then releasing and letting it all go. Third time, twisting off and letting it all go. Now let's come halfway. You might have to open your eyes for a second to see what I'm doing. So I'm halfway. I want you to lift your elbow as your chin lifts up. This is going to look like mini cat-cows. And then lower your elbow as your chin comes down. Lift the elbow, engage the back body, lower the elbow, release the back body. One more time, lift and engage, lower and release. Now release this hand from your shoulder, place it on either side of the front leg. Got it? And on this one, I want you to imagine you're a dolphin and you're diving in and putting your nose up. So dive in and nose up. Diving in and nose up. Last time, dive in and nose up. And we're going to do one more thing before we do our post check to see how much we've released. I want you to lift this knee, this back knee. Take your hand, place it on the thigh, and gently push the knee down. Lift that back knee up, place the hand, push it down. Last time, lift it up and lower it. Okay, now we're going to do our post check. And I want Christine to be honest with me and tell me how much more she can twist and look behind.
Oh, wow, I would say. I visually can see probably like 2 extra feet.
Wow.
But my
Okay.
whole body's been twisted out.
Yeah, so we have just let go of all of these muscles around here that restrict us from twisting comfortably. So let's take this leg off to the side for a minute. Sit on both sit bones. Just feel what you're feeling for a moment. Eyes can be closed or soft gaze. Just notice. Just notice. How are you feeling? Now face the straight leg, lift your arms up to the sky and imagine you're just a waterfall and let it fall. Don't pull, don't press, come back. Lift on an inhale, just fall over like water. Third time, lift on an inhale and fall. Now we're going to reverse this. We're going to lengthen out first and then lift. Lengthen out and lift. And third time, lengthen out and lift. We'll do one more thing on this side. Take this leg, gently cross it over your other leg. See if you can sit on both sit bones, sit up straight and tall. And then let's just twist toward the opposite direction just for a second. Nice. All right, between the two sides, put your hands behind your back. Let your legs just windshield wiper. Release all the instructions I gave you. This is called a cleansing breath. Just inhale through the nose, open your mouth, and make a sound. Letting it all go. Nice. Let's set up on the other side. So for us, we're bending our right knee forward and our left knee back. On this side, I actually am a little stiffer, so I'm going to sit up on something. And I didn't need it on the other side, but I definitely need it on this side because my body will already, see what happens is if you're already in pain when you start, what is your body going to do? It's going to contract to protect itself. And so it's going to restrict your movement, which is the opposite of what you're trying to do, which is to release. Okay, so let's do our pre-check first. We're twisting this way. We're noticing how far we can twist without having done anything. And I am pretty constricted on this side, mostly by my neck. That's really bothering me. All right, everybody got their spot? Now close your eye. Well, first take your, for us, it's the left hand on the right shoulder, whatever hand looks like ours. Close your eyes and we're going to do our twist and release about 3 or 4 times. So shifting over, twist, feel all the muscles engaged. Don't go into pain, just pause. And then release it completely when you come back. So it's uncoiling and you're slumping over and letting everything go. Engaging back body muscles, twisting off. Feel what you're engaging. And then mindfully, purposely release every muscle and let it go. Third time, engage everything. And then disengage all the muscles. And you might need to open your eyes for a second to see what I'm doing next. So we're going about halfway. And then we're lifting up. These are like mini cat-cows. Lifting up, chin goes up, elbow goes up, engage back body. Releasing the back body, engaging the front body as you kind of curl over. Inhaling up And exhaling, let it go. And inhaling up. And exhaling, release. Now place a hand on either side of your front leg. We're doing our dolphin now. So now you're a bottlenose dolphin, dipping in and coming up. So just imagine a dolphin, the way they do that, they swim and they dip their noses up. Okay, last time. So now we have to just lift this back knee. So place your hand on the thigh, lift the knee, feel the muscles engage. All these muscles are engaging when you do that. And then press it down and let it go. So feel the engagement. This is a little bit of isometrics. And let it go. And third time, lift it. And let it go. Now let's do our post check and see if we've gained range of motion in our twist. Holy moly. I was able to see here. I can see the back now. How about you?
I'd say another about 18 inches.
Yeah, so really letting go. So let's go ahead and release this leg off to the side and just sit comfortably for a second and just notice how you're feeling. Check in. My body's starting to feel more free. And when your body feels more free, you're able to release some emotion. So this is a really good, safe way to release some emotions after a trauma. Let's go ahead and lift our arms up to the sky and just fall over like a waterfall over that lengthened leg. Come back, lifting it up on an inhale, releasing it forward on an exhale. Last time, lifting it and releasing it. Now we're reversing our instructions. So now we're going forward first and up and forward and up. And then last time, forward and up. Let's let everything go. Place your hands behind your back, bend your knees, just release everything. And let's do a cleansing breath. So we're going to move into our mudra practice now. You could be in any comfortable seated position for a mudra practice. And if you haven't done mudras before, mudras are, you place your hands in specific little configurations. And the idea is your fingers have a lot of nerve endings, and that draws energy to certain organs and to certain internal systems, and also energetically. Can we see what time it is? So I can see how I'm doing on time. I'm used to having a clock.
9:37.
Okay, we're doing really well. All right. So, okay. So I'm going to set us up and I'll release the mudra because I can't read the book. I have to hold the book. My eyes aren't good enough to see it this far away. But Christine will keep the mudra position. This is a pretty easy one. Interlace all the fingers to each other and keep the palms of your hands together. And then release the pinky. So now the pinkies are making like a little steeple, okay? And then release the index finger, and they're making a steeple. And then take your thumbs and line them up against each other, almost like it's a door to your little sanctuary. And then lean this somewhere up against your body and rest your arms comfortably, okay? If you feel safe to do so, go ahead and close your eyes and we'll get going.
So this is where you put your hand.
Yeah, it can kind of where it's comfortable. So sort of like here, yeah. And if your arms get really tired, some of my clients, their arms get tired, they just rest it on the blocks. So, all right, so this is known as the Ishvara Mudra. This is about drawing your senses inward. So one of the problems that can happen after a trauma is you're so hyper alert and aware that you can't rest. And that was happening to me. I wasn't sleeping well. And so this is going to help draw your senses inward so you have a little more peace and tranquility. So the Ishvara Mudra cultivates harmony within our own being, instilling a sense of deep calm, which allows the senses to turn inward The gesture directs your breath, your awareness, and your energy to your abdomen and the base of the body, supporting the functioning of your digestive and eliminatory systems, which often don't work very well when you've gone through a trauma. Ishvara Mudra slows your breath and lengthens the exhale, cultivating a sense of calm and inner peace that supports the subtle digestion of all the sensory impressions. So our senses are very overloaded after a trauma. And so this will allow us to perceive the senses and use our senses in a more gentle way. This will allow us to process the thoughts, the feelings, and the memories of what you went through. And the gesture also helps create a space between the thoughts, which cultivates some inner silence. So here's your guided meditation. As you hold the Ishvara Mudra, take several natural breaths to attune to any feelings and sensations evoked by the gesture. And you can change the cross of your legs or whatever. Notice how the breath is being directed into the abdomen and the base of the body, allowing you to feel a little more comfort and ease. As you begin to relax more deeply, your senses start to turn inward, which allows you to align with your essential being. First, begin by attuning to your sense of hearing. Listen to the most distant sounds you can perceive. Gradually bring your awareness closer and closer to the sounds that are more near. Now allow your sense of hearing to turn inward. So take several breaths to explore the subtle sounds within your being, even the sound of your breathing and your own heart beating. Next, attune to the sense of touch, feeling the contact between your body and the place you sit. Any sensation of your clothing against your skin, and even the plane of contact between your eyelids. Now allow your sense of touch to turn inward. Feel the stream of air entering your nostrils and flowing down to gently caress your air passages. As your hearing and touch turn inward, your sense of sight follows naturally. So visualize in your mind's eye the landscape of your surroundings. Begin far away. Gradually move closer until you come to the image of your own body. Now allow your sense of sight to turn inward. Visualize your internal world, allowing any colors, shapes, or images to appear naturally. Next, bring your awareness to your sense of taste. Imagine a flavor that reminds you of a time when you felt completely at peace. Deeply savor this taste together with any accompanying feeling. Now your sense of taste turns inward, allowing the sense of comfort and peace to encompass your entire being, infusing you with absolute tranquility. As hearing, touch, sight, and taste turn inward. You attune to your sense of smell, perceiving any fragrances in the air you're breathing. Now allow your sense of smell to turn inward, imagining the most pleasant aroma that you can recall easily. Allow its fragrance to spread throughout your being. As all of your senses turn inward, your mind naturally becomes calm and serene, allowing you to rest in the silence of your essential being. We will affirm this feeling by saying the following 3 times, aloud or silently. As my senses rest deeply, I experience greater peace and clarity. As my senses rest deeply, I experience greater peace and clarity. As my senses rest deeply, I experience greater peace and clarity. Slowly release the gesture. Take several natural breaths to experience your senses completely at rest. And when and as you're ready, gently blinking your eyes open, turning your senses outwardly gradually while remaining aligned with your essential being. How did that feel?
Oh, it was absolutely wonderful and needed.
Oh,
Been a lot of trauma. Yes, around the world and in our country and our state of Florida, where we are right now, on the island.
We're going to do a few more things on our backs to release some muscles, and then I'll put you in your Shavasana. So get comfortably on your back in any way that feels right. Some people don't like to lie just on the ground. They want an extra blanket, something under their head. You find a way to be comfortable, whatever works for you. Okay. So first, before we do any movement, let's just do a check-in. So I want you to imagine that your body is on a copy machine. And you know how the light of the copy machine illuminates a little section at a time? So the light will start at your feet and it's kind of illuminating up your legs, up the thighs, up the center of your body, your shoulders, your neck, and you're just noticing. And you might notice things like, I feel my left side of my body on the ground more than my right. Or I have a little difference in the length of my legs. Whatever you notice is okay. This is a process itself, teaching you how to perceive without a big story. You're just noticing, and that grounds you and also keeps you aware of any minor adjustments you need to do in your healing process. So we're going to do one really cool thing to release our hips. So take your left leg, or if you want to be exactly like we are, you might be doing your right leg, and have it like you're standing on it. So there's a little more muscular engagement, right? Your foot is kind of like flattened. Now allow your right leg to just fall off to the side. So now you're on the outer edge of that right foot and your knees slightly out to the side. Gently drag that leg up as if you're going into a tree pose. And then when you get to your fullest range of motion, draw that knee up to the sky. So now you're standing on that foot, the knees up to the sky. Now, allow that knee to turn in a little bit over your body. So now you're on the inside of that foot, right? You twist it a little bit. Now, slide that leg back down on the inside of the foot, back to neutral, and just release. We're going to repeat this to the other leg. So engage the muscles of the leg you were just working. Your foot is kind of flat as if you're standing on it. Let the other leg roll off to the side. So now you're kind of a little bit on the outer edge. Slide that foot up as if you're doing a tree pose. So there's my tree pose. Lift that knee to the sky. My foot is now flat. Let that knee cross over my body. My hip comes up a little. I'm on the inside of this foot. Slide it gently back to the ground and go back to neutral. Let's go back to the first leg. So engage the leg that you just worked. Let the other leg fall off to the side. Hold the leg up into a tree pose. Flatten that foot, knee points directly to the sky. Twisting a little bit. So now we're on the inside of the foot, allowing the leg to slide back down on the inside of the foot and releasing. Now you're not doing this to your fullest range of motion. You're doing this gently because you don't want to injure yourself. Last time for this leg. So now my leg is engaged. My other leg is released. The foot falls out. Dragging the leg up on the outer edge of that foot into a tree pose. Lifting that leg up to the sky. So now the knee is pointed straight. Allowing that knee to cross over the other leg a little bit. So I'm lifting a little off the mat. Sliding my leg down and going back to neutral. Now we're going to reverse this just one time. And this is a little more complicated because you're sliding it up like in a twist. So I'm kind of going to do a little bit like that. My leg is going a little off to the side. And I'm sliding it up like that in a twist. Then I'm flattening the foot and the knees up. Then I'm opening the knee and then sliding down on the outer edge of the foot. So again, go to the inside of the foot, be gentle here. Do a little bit of a twisting action. Come up, knee to sky. Open knee up and slide it down. There you go. And let's just let it go and just see how our hips are feeling. So let's check in again. You might have noticed something changed a little bit. They feel a little more even or balanced. There's a little more range of motion around here. Things just feel a little more natural. We're going to do the same thing with our upper body. It's a little different. So bend your knees up and put your hands behind your neck. So the first thing I want you to do is let the knees go out when the elbows go toward together. It looks like a sit-up, but it's not. You don't even have to lift your head up. And then let the knees come in as the elbows come down. So elbows together, knees out, knees together, back of arms to the ground. Last time, elbows together, knees out, come back. Now, this one is going to be a little different. Keep the knees together. We're going to do what looks like a sit-up, right? Up like this. But when you lower your elbows, let your knees fall to one side. Come back to the middle. Up. Let the knees fall to the other side. Inhale. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. Now let your arms go off into a T. And let's just do some gentle windshield wipers down here. Anything that feels good. Find the leg position that feels right. You could have your feet together. You could have your feet apart. This is sort of the reward. You're rewarding your body for all the beautiful work it's done. All right, draw your knees into the chest and then circle your hips. Just releasing any tension. Some people like to do a happy baby at the end before they get into their Shavasana. Other people don't. I'm not a big happy baby fan. It doesn't feel good on my spine. But I like to put my hands under my butt like this and just have my legs up in the air. So any sort of inversion that feels good for you, go ahead and do it. Whatever release feels right. And then you settle down into your most comfortable Shavasana. And I'm going to just do a guided reading just for the end for you. All right. Usually I have my big, beautiful bowl, but I left it back in Fort Myers. So everybody imagine that I'm donging my bowl. Dong. And the reading comes from one of my favorite books. It's called The Book of Awakening. It was written by Mark Nepo, and he has readings for every day of the year. And I tend to just open the page and it's always relevant, no matter what page I open it to. And this one's called A Wisdom Moment of Trust. And I will say that after a trauma, a lot of us have trouble with trusting, either we feel like our faith has been really tested. So this seemed appropriate. The need to step into what we fear, and in so doing, disperse its hold on us, is powerfully brought to life by a moment in the film Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. After searching everywhere within reason and memory for the Holy Grail, Jones stands on an enormous precipice, a deep chasm before him. The Grail waiting on the other side. His father, wounded and depending on the Grail to heal, cries out possible interpretations of the clues Jones has been given to reach the Grail. After what seems like a lifetime of inner debate and escalating fear, he dares, against everything he knows, to step into the void above the chasm. And as he does, an enormous stone foundation appears beneath his feet, a bridge that was there all along. This is the moment of risk and trust, a wisdom moment that repeats itself in our lives in both small and large ways. Over and over, the cup we need to drink from, the ancient, ever-healing cup of wholeness, waits beyond some deep chasm we are afraid to cross. Often we are driven to the edge by the cries and the clues of the elders and loved ones, only to find that nothing makes sense, that there seems nowhere to go. And then the atom of risk begins to replay itself in those brought to the edge. Then, when all known ways of seeing have failed, we sometimes dare to step into the void. Whether that void is a chasm of purpose or self-esteem, or a ravine in a relationship, or a canyon of addiction, or an earthquake or a hurricane. The crazy wisdom step that begins with risk and lands in trust reveals a foundation that was there all along, but which is only made visible by our risk to think and see in new ways, and our trust to step in what we fear. So in the last few moments of class, breathe deeply, center yourself, and meditate on a chasm of your own making. Maybe it's a trench of stubbornness or pride that no one can cross, or the echo of your own pain that is isolating you, or the vastness that builds when you're afraid to tell someone the truth of your heart, or an absence of belief that you deserve what waits on the other side. Lean into it until your fear subsides. Lean into the chasm and offer through your breath wordless compassion for yourself and all others in our own very human struggle to step with risk and land with trust. So our time together has come to an end. Gently make your way to seated in any way that feels right to you. Take your time. Then I usually encourage my students to gather anything that spoke to them during the class and bring it to their heart. And then we acknowledge each other and say namaste. Namaste. Take care. And thanks to Christine and her wonderful husband and her dog for allowing us to visit and stay here and heal from the trauma, because this is a big part of healing, having connection with people who care and comfort you and love you.
Wow, she heals us right back. They're in the love.